podcast. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about the ISA show we went to about 2 weeks ago, and kind of go over some things, our experience, what we thought, what we saw, things like that, and then we'll also put up about next year that's already out, which is crazy. Like it's already posted.
They probably have that thing
So,
planned years in advance.
oh yeah. So, anyways, I'm Jason with JR Custom Designs and the creator of Rotoboss Rotary Attachments, and I got my sidekick here.
I'm Chris Casio, House of Lasers, and also support and training for Thunder Laser.
Awesome. So now we got the introductions out of the way. If you're joining us on Facebook or YouTube, I don't know. I heard Facebook was kind of throttling podcasts and stuff, but I don't know if it's going through on Facebook or not. But if not, you can check us out on the show afterwards. It's all recorded. It'll be on YouTube, and it should also be on Facebook as well. So feel free to check it out if you missed anything or you want to take a look at it again. And our Facebook link for the Turn and Burn podcast page is at the bottom of the screen. And I'll put that in the link as well, or in the chat. So anyways, so how you been, Chris?
Recovering, man. That was a long week. I don't know about you, but setup, tear down, all that stuff for ISA was crazy. It's just all day on your feet. And if you haven't been there, I recommend attending one and see if you can get in early, because the transformation from what is it, Tuesday evening to Wednesday when it opens, it's like the carpet gods came and went snap, and it's immaculate in there. So it's crazy how they put that thing together.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like I was there with Chris on the first day of setup. I probably got in there a couple hours after they did. But yeah, just setting up. Even like I did Vegas the year before, and the same thing. I mean, it's a madhouse. I mean, there's stuff everywhere. People unpacking, setting up machines, doing all that stuff, and then you come in the next day, and it's like nothing ever happened. Like
it is crazy.
It is unreal. Like as soon as they shut the doors for the night, I think it's like at 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock the night before.
Mm-hmm.
Like all that night, they're doing nothing but laying carpet everywhere, and it's a concrete floor otherwise.
Well, you weren't there on Friday night when it closed?
I left at about 4:30, 5 o'clock, and they were like running people over trying to roll carpet, starting
Yeah,
to peel
yeah. I mean, it was amazing.
Crazy.
It was literally 2 hours later, and it looked like Tuesday morning when everybody was setting up all over again. So,
well, yeah, because they got to get all the carpet out of the way so they can get the forklifts and pallet jacks and all that stuff in there to get everybody's stuff out. But yeah, if like Chris said, if you ever have a chance to get in behind the scenes, on one of those,
do
it. Take advantage of it. Do it. It's an experience in and of itself. And then, of course, the ISA show, which was 3 days long, it's basically 2.5 days long, essentially. It's a madhouse. I mean, there's just if you're into graphic printing, vinyl, poster boards, any kind of cutting, whether it's CNC or things like that, lasers. They got lights.
Sign vendor. So for those of you that don't know, the ISA is the International Sign Show, and I mean, it has everything from LED lights, strip lighting, sign lighting, all the way to $1 million direct to fabric, garment, direct to anything you can fit in the laser printers, printer cutters, right? Because they're gonna cut out stickers and print stickers, and it's just insane the amount of money and the companies there that pop up these structures.
Yeah.
I mean, they're
full blown office building or office environments, 2 stories. I mean, yeah, it's just amazing. And a lot of them they do that, and I think one of them, at least in Vegas, I don't know if they were here in Orlando, but they set up a 2-story like office kind of setup, and
Mhm.
all the walls were plastered with vinyl printed graphics and stuff. I mean, it was just unreal. It had windows, doors. I mean, it just the links they go through to promote their product business is unreal. Like
And
take
they even had a full office with chairs and,
Yep.
enclosed
Had
so that
lounges. They had a kitchen. They had a kitchen set up in there. Had food, and I mean, of course there was food vendors and stuff there. But they had like a whole kitchen set up with all kinds of different stuff. It was great. I don't know if anything was working. Probably just display, but nonetheless, it's just amazing to see some of the things they do. So, if I mean, obviously, a lot of us, or most of you watching, are into lasers for sure. But if you're interested in DTF, DTG, sublimation, vinyl printings and graphics, banners, poster boards, they even had a couple of those companies there that had those machines that fold the letters and numbers into little boxes to make light boxes out of.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just unreal, and you get a lot of good deals there. I mean, most people are 15 to 30% off depending on what it is at the
Yeah.
shows. So you can get
Our
some really,
machines
really good
were
deals.
the one if you bought it at the show and picked it up and drove away with it, I think it was 20 to 30% off.
Yeah,
So
depending on the machine, I think it was like 20 or 30%. But yeah, like whoever got that bolt, man, and I can't remember his name, but he stole that freaking thing. Like
yeah,
brand new machine. Like it only been
it ran for 3
not even
days.
an hour, not even an hour's worth of runtime in probably 3 days,
Right.
and the dude walked out of it. They just stole it. When he told me the
But
price, when
but
he
he
told me the price, he blew my mind. I was like,
but
"Holy
he
crap!"
knew though. He walked in, he was one of the first
Oh
people to
yeah.
walk in that place, and he came right up to the booth and said, "I want this," after the show, and he took it
Well,
home.
he was somebody I talked to either on the internet or on the phone. I can't remember. And he told me, he says, "I'm going to be the first one at your booth, or at the Thunder booth."
He was.
And
He
he
made it.
was like, as soon as the doors open, he made a beeline straight to the Thunder booth, and before probably 100 people walked through the door, he already bought the laser. I mean, so it's crazy. And in a lot of places, like I don't know if you how much you walked around, but if you looked at Mamaki, holy cow! Like they had probably 2 or 3 thousand square foot of space just packed with machines and a lounge and all
Mhm.
kinds of different stuff. I mean, I would say they were probably one of the biggest companies representing there. But they got some really good machine and great people um, that help with that, like PDS equipment. A lot of you guys know shit. What's his name? uh, Steve. It's Steve, I believe. Let's see. Yeah, Steve Weist.
Mhm.
Um, Great guy, good to talk to. Um, but yeah, I mean, so if you're into that kind of stuff and you're looking for machines, I think it's a really good idea to go. Usually, like this year it was in Orlando, next year it's in Vegas, and then I think the year after that it's back in Orlando, and then I think it might go back to Atlanta. I'm not 100% sure. Or maybe Atlanta was just the COVID thing. Like after COVID, that was the first
Mhm.
show after COVID. Um, Back in 21 or 22, I can't remember. I think it's 22. Um, but
So
yeah,
did
so I mean,
you see anything interesting there? Did you see anything that was like, "Wow, that was amazing"?
yeah, I mean, I walked around quite a bit. I mean, I don't know, man. It's such an experience. I mean, I've been in this industry for almost 10 years, and even still going to places like that, it's like kid in a candy store. It's like you're just so overwhelmed with all of the stuff that they have there, and you wish you could just buy it, at least one of everything. But walking around,
5, Rob? I think there were 5. So you had Aeon, you had GGC, Trotec, and Kern, and Thunder.
you had Trotec, Epilogue,
Epilogue was there too?
Eon, Eon, Thunder, GCC. Um, I didn't see AP. Usually they're at those shows. I
No,
didn't
they
see
weren't
that.
there.
I didn't even see Boss, which is kind of strange because that's in their backyard.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure why they weren't there. If they were, I didn't see them. Let's see what else. There was a couple other. What's the other one? It's green and white. It's a green and white machine. Rabbit.
Maybe.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I didn't walk.
There
I
was
didn't get a
a
chance to walk around that much, but
there was several other. I would say off-brand just because they're not as well known. There was at least 3 of those that I saw, but I think they were kind of like Laguna was there. And then there was 2 other companies that were kind of like Laguna where they have lasers, but they have other stuff as well.
hmm
So, and I think they were just like distributors for that laser. I don't think they're actually the company itself. Um, but I would say probably 6 to 8 laser companies there at least. The biggest ones being Thunder, Eon, and probably Laguna had the biggest setups there, and or actually GCC because they had a lot of different stuff there. Laguna only had 1 laser there. They had a bunch.
I've never seen them before.
Who?
GCC.
GCC? Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen them at the last 3 now ISA shows I've been to.
They had that one
Um,
machine that was running pretty quick.
oh man, that thing was smoking. I don't know what.
It
I don't
wasn't
know.
doing anything, but it was moving.
No. Well, that's like I think Eon had their new release, and I don't even think they ever had it actually running, like functioning.
No.
It was running, it was moving, but I don't think. And of course, I wasn't around it all day, but I don't know. But every time I'd walk by, it was just moving back and forth. It wasn't engraving anything, so I don't know what
Yeah, that's
that was all
true.
about.
Yeah, Louisiana hobby guy. He stopped in and he interviewed us at Thunder booth. So yeah, he was walking around interviewing everybody.
Yep. Yeah, there were several, and like somebody else said, it was weird seeing all the YouTubers. There was tons of YouTubers. There was one company in particular that brought a lot of them in for obvious reasons, but yeah, there was a lot of YouTubers there. It was pretty cool to see the people and talk to them. So, and we had Chance on here not too long ago, and he showed up with a couple of his guys.
Yeah, there was a bunch of guys. There were a bunch of
Josh
our
Lone Star Adhesive was
yeah.
there. The guy that just did that video on Eon's machine that's not even out yet. I forget his name. He was there.
He was walking around all by himself.
Yeah.
Just recording stuff.
Yeah, it was a great show, and like I said, if you have a chance, I would check it out. It's like to get a ticket. A lot of places you can get a hold of like Maki or talk to them guys. A lot of them guys you can get free tickets, but if it's not free, it's only $25. I mean, it's pretty cheap to get in, and at least look around. But definitely worth it. So, just real quick, anybody's got any questions unrelated to this, lasers, rotaries, anything like that? Feel free to ask them in the chat. We're just kind of going over some stuff, our experience and thoughts on the ISA show that we went to, which is the International Sun Expo. So yeah, feel free to ask any questions. It's not just about that. So otherwise,
bring it on. Otherwise, we're gonna run out of stuff to talk about real quick.
I don't know about that. Yeah. So here's a good question or a good comment. So
I think I might have to drink up for that one.
Yeah. So, well, see, I have a couple different things for that because, and like I've told people before, anybody can claim any speed unless you can actually measure it and see data on it. I would almost not believe it. I mean, if Eon created a 5,000 millimeter a second machine, fantastic and good on them. That's amazing. If they truly did.
Right.
But that's only in their signature series, as far as I understand. So it's not their regular red line. It's an actual signature series. Is what I understood.
They have the regular, they have the signature, and then they have
they have the regular red line and then the signature.
Yeah.
The signature is the one with the S on it. So it's like Mira S, and it's got all the red stuff in it. That's your signature series, I think. Again, I don't think it's even out yet, but it's something coming. And like I said, if they did it, awesome. Do I believe it? Probably not. And realistically, when are you ever going to use that? Like, I mean, there's
Well,
no.
you need the. I mean, we all know that speed and power have to meet somewhere so that you can actually leave
Yep.
a mark on. So
Yeah.
it's a balance, and have they exceeded that? I can cut an inch acrylic with the bolt, but would I do it? I mean, is it going to be profitable for me? Is it
No.
going to be something that I can hand to a client? So it's different.
No,
3 to
Brian,
4 months.
they say it's a RF tube. Um, is what they're, at least. Like I said, I watched the video that YouTuber put out. Same one that's done reviews on all the different types of lasers and stuff. And it's a RF tube. I'm pretty positive of that, at least from the information that he put out.
Right.
So definitely not a DC tube. A DC tube would never reach those speeds. But I mean, realistically, like, I have machines that'll do 2,000, but I've never done that. I mean, and especially like in a Mira 7 when it's only
Right.
like 20 something inches long, you're never going to utilize that speed because
Mm-mm.
you don't have enough space. Now in the
Right.
Nova, like the Eons, the Nova probably 14 and 16, sure, that would be, especially if you're doing something on a full size bed, that's where your speed really comes in. But realistically, how many times are you engraving something more than, I don't know, 6 to maybe 20 inches at most? Most people are engraving pretty small stuff, so you're never really going to realize or see those speeds. And the only other good thing about it, even like the bolt and the whole lineup of the bolts actually
Mm-hmm.
is
What you
like
got?
Chris said, there's a trade off. Like, you have to balance your speed and power because, yeah, if you're doing 5,000 millimeters a second, but you're only leaving like a faint mark in it because your tube's not powerful enough, then
Right.
there's no
Well,
point.
and do you want to be running 100%? I
Well,
mean,
I mean,
what's the gain there? It depends. It depends, and that's why we run material test cards and stuff like that to see, where it leaves
yeah.
us. But I
So
mean, I can tell you, and my buddy Bob, who bought me some whiskey, we can attest that he had a small graphic that was probably about, I don't know, 4 inches around, and he was like, "Man, I'm running this thing wide open, 1,000 millimeters per second. My offset or my LPI is not crazy, but it's going to take me 45 minutes." I'm
yeah,
like, "Oh, well, slow it down."
yeah.
Slow it down. I mean,
Faster is not always faster, and I
no,
say that
no,
all the time.
and they're bragging the acceleration, which, I mean, that's going to help, but you still have to slow that thing down. I don't care how light the head is, you have to slow it down. There's going to be overscan
Yeah,
regardless, and it has to increase. I mean, that's something that the Ruida is
yeah.
going to do regardless.
The one thing that if it is the 5,000, the one thing that's going to help with is the overscan. It's going to help prevent that to some degree because a lot of that speed is more acceleration speed, not necessarily travel speed. I mean, it is in some regards in the grand scheme of things, but not as a whole. And same thing with the bolt. The whole bolt series, RF tubes, closed loop steppers,
Mm-hmm.
or servo hybrid steppers, whatever. Um, and they do the same thing. They raise the acceleration, helps prevent the overscan because the acceleration is what stops it and starts it and allows it to move. So that and the servo motors. Um, because steppers, they have to go so many steps, whereas a closed loop servo, it always knows where it's at. A regular stepper never knows where it's at. It's just going through the motion.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I mean, if it works, it works. That's awesome. Proof will be in the pudding when people start actually getting it.
Yeah,
I have
that bolt running, I think 2-3G. I mean, it's moving. It's a light
Yep.
head. It is capable of doing that. It's got plenty of power to compensate for that.
Oh yeah.
Move down to Lou.
Yeah, I was getting to that one.
So from my understanding, at least, you can special order anything that you want from Thunder. It would be
Yep.
special order, but there are we've requested some RF larger machines. Um, is it going to be 6 months down the road? Probably not. But there's some cool stuff coming, some redesigning coming slowly. And I think maybe you'll see some RFs be introduced in those lines for sure.
Yeah, I know when we talked, or at least I talked to Thunder China in Vegas last year, and their biggest concern with the bigger machines is obviously they're going to have to switch to a different gantry system, because the old track and wheels or whatever the stuff that they use now on the different machines, and trying to make it light enough to handle the speeds and the movements. Um, they're gonna have to come up with something else with the gantry, because I think like Eon, for instance, I think they use Highwind rails, um, which in and of themselves help stiffen the gantry.
Mhm.
And they're good. I mean, they're Japanese. It's really good stuff. So not knocking that at all. It's amazing rail system, but I don't know that I could say that there's any downside to them, because they're enclosed, because the belt usually covers the front of it, and then it's like a C channel. So you have the rail in between, then you have the belt and the big belt in the front, and it kind of keeps everything protected.
Well, and then
Um,
you kind of start moving away from the industrial build. I mean,
yeah,
let's be honest, the Nova series for Thunder is a beast. It is
a
a
tank.
literal, it is a tank. And if you want a cutting machine that is an excellent engraver, I mean, that's your thing. For the money, you can't beat it. But I mean, start going lightweight and RF. There's going to be drawbacks.
Yeah, Brian's saying here they stayed away from the 5163 previously because of limited power. For those longer gantries, anything above 100 watts requires a water chiller. So
That and expensive too. I mean, the price
yeah,
on I mean, for us to be able to stick a 30-watt RF tube in the bolt and bring it in at that price point, that's insane.
yeah, 2/3
Uh,
of the price of the machine is the freaking tube.
yeah, yeah,
I mean,
and now that the cost is coming down on some of these, because it used to be to get an RF tube, you have to buy that $20,000 to $60,000 machine.
yep.
Now, not so much. You're going to start seeing it more prevalent. I'm thinking.
I mean, I have a feeling. I don't know for sure, but I have a feeling Thunder's been heavily thinking about those things. I mean, it's obvious with the bolt, and revamping the Odin series into the bolt. Um,
I,
so I mean, I don't doubt before. I mean, I'd give it probably 2 to 5 years. They'll have a bigger machine.
Oh, don't I hope
Um,
not. I hope not that long. The
well, I'm just
the
saying, like,
technology
because
moves too fast.
well, it does, and I think that's what they need. But again, you can attest to this. I mean, Thunder is very methodical about what they do. Um, they typically don't, that I've seen, just have knee jerk reactions and make something just because. There's usually a really good reason for it, and they put a lot of thought into everything. I mean, the bolts, prime example. I mean, the stuff that they have packed into that machine, technology wise, from the
Yeah, stuff.
firmware to the or to the hardware, all that. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, when we heard about that, we had no idea how they were doing that price point.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I think where I come from with the machines I came from,
yeah.
and I wanted to go to a company that was really forward thinking, and by far, at least the relationship that we have with Thunder China, they are always improving. So it's pretty cool.
And I guess what kind of, I mean, I didn't know this ahead of time when I first started uh, getting Thunder machines, but just the care that they take, like the customer, they listen to the customers, they listen to the techs, they listen to the people that use them, and they make really good decisions on what they do based on that, and they take
Hmm.
quick action. They're not like some of these other companies where like, it works, we're going to keep it. Thunder's always looking to improve.
I talk to them every day. Practically every morning and every evening, there's a conversation going on between one of the techs or sales or one of us with the China team.
Yeah, Cindy, your rotary should be out this week, just so you know. And then Lou's got another one. I wish they offered a UV printer, Beast combo. So and that's the thing is like, if you offer all these different types of
It's hard.
machines and stuff like that, one, it's hard to keep up with. I can tell you that firsthand. Like we we got like six different rotaries, and it's hard to keep up with. Now, and on top of that, I run a laser engraving, vinyl printing, sublimation, UV printing. I mean, I do all that stuff as well. So it's not, we don't just do rotaries. We do a lot of different stuff, and it's a lot to keep track of. And some things, if you start doing that, or if companies do that, they're gonna lose not interest, but they're gonna lose drive in some area because they're gonna be hyper focused on another piece of equipment or a different type of equipment or something. So I don't.
Well, just think
I
of the
personally don't foresee Thunder doing that.
mechanical nightmare.
Well,
It'd be a
yeah, I mean, it's
mechanical nightmare for some of it.
one, having the infrastructure and the people to support all the different stuff. Like it's like a laser to laser or rotary to rotary. They're all the same. Like they do the same job. So if they come out with a new laser, or if I come out with a new rotary, it's like it works the same. So it's pretty easy to have the tech support and everything um, in place for that. But when you start getting completely different machines and types of machines, it gets crazy. And plus, there's so many UV printers out there. I mean, why would they try to compete with that? Like Mamaki, Muto, a lot of these other, like Brother Epson, all these people have UV printers, and they've been in the game for forever. Maybe not the
Right.
UV, but the printing game forever. So for them, it's not a big deal to come out with a new machine. But to have a laser company come out with a UV machine or printer, then yeah, it's not probably not advantageous for them to do that.
Would be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't rule it out, but in the immediate future, I would say it's probably not going to happen.
Even with like the Galvo fiber, and people talk about throwing the fiber laser onto the Nova series and stuff like that. It's like you start tying up your machine for things. You want to be able to do everything, and having different machines is unfortunately part of this game. It's just difficult.
What? Sorry, yeah, people
Blowing you up.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, you're on TV.
Yeah. Oh, I know you. Um, but yeah, so buy out China company. Yeah, that ain't gonna happen. That I don't think they would ever sell it anyways. I mean, even if they could or wanted, or even had an inkling to, I don't think they would. They're too prideful with their stuff. You don't want to compare your products with own tech. Yeah, I mean, I'm I'm not knocking any laser company. I mean, everybody's trying to get their piece of the pie. Um,
And
but
there's a market
one
for
of
all
the
of them too.
one of the things with Thunder for me too is the fact that like it's from the manufacturer to your doorstep. There's no rework, there's no rewiring, there's no nothing. It's set up, it's adjusted, focused, all that stuff straight from the factory, and it gets to your door. You open it up and use it. Like I've never, like legitimately, I've never had to. I had some issues with the bolt initially, but I got a pre-production unit, so I can't really. I'm not going to really knock that. because we're obviously going to be issues with that, and that's one of the things they use to improve on what they have now. But I had some problems with that. It's negligible as far as what I'm saying here. But all the 4 other Thunder lasers I have, I've literally taken them out of the crate, opened them up, plugged them in, and I've just been running them. Like I don't, and don't use me as an example, but I don't clean them. I don't unless I have to. Like the mirrors and stuff, I'll wipe them off once in a while, things like that. Um, but it's just they're just workhorses. I've never had a problem with them. I've moved one of them 4 times. I got a bolt in a trailer that's got almost 5,000 miles on it, and I've never had to do anything once I got everything set up with the things I had to deal with when I got it. Um, and I've never had to align anything. Everything's still tight. Everything works. I go to a show. I have confidence. I can just turn it on and start working. And there's something to be said about that.
Yeah.
So
And we can flip it back around to the ISA show where, we had to unbox 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 machines. And, I test every single one when we get to a show, and I don't fine tune the alignment because it's never off, but I do
yeah,
fine tune the focus. Sometimes the optics are a little bit different than, there's a variable in the optics. So I make sure I get the finest dot,
yep.
and,
The only issue I've ever had with a Thunder, and I've had it with pretty much every laser I've ever had, is when you switch from like a 2-inch to a 4-inch. Sometimes you got to make a little tweak to the alignment of the beam so it comes down and hits the laser, because the lens is so much further from the
yeah,
two
any
inch.
variation of that angle, for
Dang
sure.
it.
Put that away. Put it on mute. You're in the middle of a show.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's good, Todd. I mean, and that's great to hear that, it just it comes, it arrives, it's ready to go, tuned. You shouldn't have to mess with it. Fire it up and get going.
So this one with the OM Tech, yeah, I mean I've had OM Tech before they were OM Tech. It used to be Orion Motor Tech until they got a really bad rap, and then they rebranded to OM Tech. I've had a China Blue and White. I've had Eon. I've had Boss. Several Thunders. Only ones I haven't had is like Laguna and AP. I think those are the two that I haven't had. But and that's another reason why I stick with Thunder. I've had all these. I know what to expect, and exactly what Todd's saying here is, if I've met people that have OM Techs and they've never had to touch it, but I've heard way more people get it, and it's constant fiddling. And if you're gonna do that, I would just buy one off of Amazon for $3,500. If you want to tinker and you know how to do it and you want to play around, save your money, get something for $3,500 and play with it all day long.
And that's the difference. If you're a hobbyist, by all means, save yourself the money and get it and mess around with it. But if you need it to work for you, you need it to produce, you're not going to get anything better.
I mean, Thunders aren't the prettiest machines. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, it's ugly." I mean, it's an industrial machine. It's not meant to sit in a front office. If you want that, get an Eon. It looks pretty and shows really well. But if you want something that's going to be a workhorse, and you don't have to worry about it a lot, especially in a lot of environments, like I ran my lasers in a wood shop, like a lot of people on here that I know do. And with a Thunder, I never had to worry about it.
Well, I mean,
Boss sucked because they had
hold on.
linear guide rails. Yep, he's got a shop there too.
I mean, mine runs in here, in humidity, in Florida, in 100-degree weather, no issues.
But I mean, it's just like they're workhorses. You don't have to worry about them. Like I had Boss, they use linear guide rails, which absolutely suck because if you get dirt in them, you're screwed. The way you have to grease them, which is a
All
pain.
the time.
So a lot of upkeep and maintenance. Like literally, and I'm not joking, I had my Nova 24 for almost 5 years now, and I've never had to grease anything. I've wiped it down, cleaned it up a little bit here and there, and I'll wipe down the rails or something with a rag, and then that's it. It's very easy maintenance, and it just works. John, exhaust and the exhaust out laser exhaust. How do you exhaust the laser in your trailer? I need something to drink.
Okay.
I have videos on my YouTube, Rotoboss rotary attachments on YouTube. I have a whole kind of somewhat build series and shows all that stuff. But I vented out through the roof through basically it's a 6-inch dryer duct that's mounted to the roof, and then I have one of those Ace or camper, the crank up windows. They have that vent cover. I have one of those mounted on top of it to keep the rain and everything out of it, and I just vent it straight out through the roof. I use a 6-inch AC Infinity, and it branches off. One of a 4-inch lead goes to the Odin, and then a 3-inch lead goes off to the Aurora. So, and I did that. I could have done it through the floor. It would have been a lot easier. But the thing is, I wanted to get it up and out of the way because a lot of the places I go, there's a lot of people, and you don't want to blow that smoke out into the crowd. So I try to be as conscious of that as possible, and I blow it out through the roof. And usually the wind takes it away. You don't even know it's there. Just don't change. I'm not. What does that mean, Todd? Just don't change the colors to blue, silver. What's blue, silver? Am I missing? Oh, like Dallas? I don't know. I don't know what that's supposed to mean.
Then Omtech blue and silverish.
Omtech is red,
gray, and
yeah, they got blue and gray. They got red and black, and they got yellow and black, I think. No, I like the colors of a Thunder. I mean, it's definitely, there's nothing out there that color really.
You may see a Nova series start to kind of resemble the Odins. If I was a betting man, which I've been known to bet and lose some money, but
I hope they keep the same structural qualities that they have now, and just change the look a little bit.
Yeah,
because I mean, realistically, a lot of people have these in their homes, and it's not the prettiest thing to look at. But and some businesses and storefronts, things like that. So yeah, of course they want to try to make things look a little bit more clean and professional looking for those that obviously do that kind of stuff. Thus the Bolt and Odins and all that. Oh yeah, the white inside. It's not much better. I had Thunder Boss, and it's black inside, and it shows dirt. Like if you have a black car, like it's hard to keep clean. It looks like
there's no
trash
winning
all
on
the time.
that.
Yeah, white is probably the best choice, I think, just because it hides dirt a lot better. And then when it's dirty, it's definitely time to clean it at that point. But white will stain. The soot stains and stuff around the vents, especially. I know mine are stained brown around the exhaust ports. But I mean, a good scrubbing with a good cleaner, you could probably get it off.
Just don't hose out your exhaust fan.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good.
No, they tend to die after that. Interesting. Those digital motors don't like water.
Yeah, and like he's saying, the Epilog and Trotec, they're great machines. There's a couple things I don't like about those. One, they're not open source, so any parts you need have to come from them, and they're ridiculous. Like a controller for an Epilog is like $1,500. You got to have a serial number, you got to have a date of purchase, your receipt, all this stuff to get the parts for it. Whereas a Thunder or any of the other ones, you just go on Amazon or something or get a hold of Thunder, and you could buy whatever you need. The only thing you can't really is a controller because it has the specific firmware in it and stuff. But all the motors, all the wiring, the relays, all that, you can buy all that stuff online. Whereas Epilog and Trotec, you can't. The other thing I don't like about Epilog and Trotec personally is the fact that, one, they're so expensive for what they are. A machine the size of an Odin, which is only 15, or the new Bolt Pro, is $15,000. a comparable Trotec or Epilog, you're looking at $30,000 to $40,000 for a comparable machine of the same size and essentially the same speed and power rating. And you're it's like buying Nikes versus buying ponies or something. It's like a shoe's a shoe.
Or a polar camel versus a Yeti. It's gonna keep the ice the same.
Yeah, and they're made in the same factory.
Primarily, yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing, John. I've heard about Epilog, especially is their support. And a lot of that has to do, like, anytime you call. I have a buddy, or not a buddy, an acquaintance through Facebook and stuff, Justin Wrigley. I'm sure you guys have seen him before. He had two of the bigger Pro series, and I went and visited him, helped him with some stuff, and got to see those. And like he said, just to get support, you have to run through the gauntlet of information and stuff just to get support for the machine. Like, you can't just call them and say, "Hey, I have a problem." They're like, "Support it or send a ticket. We need your serial number, picture your serial number, your part, whatever, all this stuff." And it's just, and I understand they're trying to protect their intellectual property and stuff like that. So it's just like, but at some point it just becomes ridiculous. I mean, I've seen people complain that they can't get a reply from Thunder for under 30 minutes or an hour. It's like they're losing their mind. Try dealing with Trotec and Epilog, where you got to wait days.
Well, I mean, deal with OhmTech, where you got to wait for the sun to turn around on the planet, so that their day starts over there, and then they start answering their tickets. I mean, there's a lot of kickback as far as support and how we run ours too, via a ticket system. I mean, we're not badgering you for your serial number, but there's no better way except for via email exchange to transfer data. Yeah. We need photos of the problems you're seeing. We want to see the file that you're having issues with.
You send us a video.
I mean, you can't tell me that over the phone. I need to see it. And usually with a couple of pictures, I can solve your problem quickly. So while it's nice to get on the phone and talk to somebody, like we used to be able to do, it's more beneficial, and usually we can resolve problems quicker via the email and sharing information. Let's see.
Yeah, it's. I mean, even for me, I don't get that many calls because everybody puts their questions on Facebook, even though my number's on the rotary. But I mean, even for me, it's getting increasingly harder to do that because it's just,
right.
There's so many out there now, and trying to support them. But like for me, my goal is to be as involved as I can, as long as I can personally. Because in my opinion, the best advice is from the horse's mouth, and not somebody that has to be like, "Oh, well, I'll look into that and I'll get back to you." I want to be able to answer it like on the spot.
I'm gonna leave part of that alone. The jokes I can make.
Oh yeah.
And John,
save it for the after show. We had a lady that came do some training when we first got an Epilog, and I knew more than she did. Was only using it for 2 weeks. That's a waste of time. Yeah, and the costs, I don't know what the costs are now. I mean, it was in the thousands just to get tech support, because you had to pay for the support. And then you had, typically, like with Boss, I don't know if they still do it this way, but you had to pay for the support, which was like $1,200-$1,500. Then you had to pay for travel. Then you had to pay for lodging. Then you had to pay for food for whoever came to work on your stuff. And it was just, I mean, you could easily spend $3,000 in a visit.
Well, I had the same situation that John had. My first laser, I mean, they sent somebody down here for 8 hours of training, and I showed him things that the laser could do and the software could do that he had no clue about.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a benefit to having people behind the product that know what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's like I got a DTF printer in Atlanta 2.5 years ago, 2 years ago, whatever it was, 3 years ago, and like it was a brand new printer. They had no literature on it. They had nobody that knew how to work on it. You had to get a hold of one person individually that knew about it, and his knowledge was limited, and you had to schedule an appointment to talk to him, and it could be days or a week or whatever, and um, and it just ruins it. I mean, you pay all this money for a machine, then you got to wait forever for support. And I know Thunder has adopted that too, as far as getting people taken care of as quickly as they possibly can, and likewise with me. But you know, when they when there's no one to support the equipment that you're putting out, I mean, it's not good.
Well, and you know, there's an expectation that might be slightly unrealistic for a lot of people. You're buying a machine that is running your business, and it's kind of your responsibility to know it. You know, not only should you have some of the tools that you need to diagnose some of the things, you know, unless you're paying the $50,000 of a Trotec or an Epilogue, where you're not getting that support anyway. But for something like that, I would expect that I could pick up the phone and talk to somebody right away, anytime. But
Yeah.
if you're paying a quarter or a third of that price, you're kind of getting a hybrid between of nothing with an OhmTech and amazing support that you might have to do a little bit of legwork with
Yeah.
the Thunder. You know it, but you know, have a multimeter. You know, know where the parts are on your machine is important.
I mean, I used to tell people, like, I'd get it all the time, more so back when we used to do a lot of support for other machines and things like that, before we're doing what we're doing now. But I would get people and I'd be like, hey, the first thing you should do when you get it is jack up the focus, like throw it completely
Right.
out, and then redo the whole thing.
Right.
And the immediate question, why would I do that? Well, you need to know how to work on it, and
Right.
the best time to do it is when you get it, because there's nothing worse than
Than having a
you're in
machine
the
that you can't use.
you're in the middle of a job, and your machine goes out of focus or something happens to it, and you have no clue how to fix it. Now you're trying to learn how to fix it. You're worried about filling your order. You're worried about pissing your customer off. I mean, there's all this stuff. So the best time to learn it is when you first get it.
All
And
right. So
and
anybody that's listening and that owns a Thunder, don't touch your mirrors
don't.
or your alignment. Go
Yeah,
in
we
and
had
out of
someone.
go in and
That,
out of focus as much as you want, but don't touch your mirrors or your alignment, please.
well, someone
Don't
just
touch
did
it.
that recently, and I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Got a brand new laser, and if you're listening, I'm not going to mention your name. I'm not trying to dog you. But got a brand new laser. First thing he did, tore the mirrors out of it, cleaned them down, wiped it off, whatever, and then he had issues with the machine.
So
Um,
in partial defense, we do recommend when you get it, you take your mirrors out and you clean them, which I don't necessarily agree with. We can wipe them down. Wipe them down. They're usually shipped with a light coating on them. You know, they're going across salt water for a month. So yeah, wipe them off. Do you need to
like I
take?
wipe mine off with a rag. I don't even take them out. I'll just wipe it
No,
off on the outside. I mean,
absolutely.
because if it's not broke, don't fix it. And
Right.
anytime you do anything to your machine, you're introducing a potential point of failure.
Yep.
No matter how
Another
cautious you
variable.
are, no matter how cautious you are, you're essentially opening up yourself for trouble. So
But you get another machine. I mean, if you get an Amazon special, you're going to have to do an alignment as soon as you open that thing.
hmm
So,
and you're gonna need to know how to work on it. And that's why I said if you know how to work on it and you're willing to do it, I
Yep.
would save the money and do that all day long.
Yeah.
But I prefer to have a nice quality piece of machinery that I know is going to work, and I've got the support and everything to deal with it.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I literally just take a dry microfiber cloth and I wipe it off. That's all I do.
Yeah, I use denatured alcohol.
Yeah, you got to be careful with the chemicals on those because they do have a coating on them, and if you use too harsh of a chemical or do it too often, you will remove that coating. You'll wear that coating off. So really, unless you notice your laser, you're having to use more power or it's not leaving quite as clean of an engrave as it used to, that's when you want to look into cleaning it. And obviously looking at it once in a while, making sure it's not dirty, cracked, broken, any of that stuff. But tearing it apart, especially when you first get it, I mean that's, and I know, and he explained that that's what you guys have in your literature is to clean everything off.
Right.
And yeah, I don't agree with that personally, just in my experience. But I get why, because like Chris said, they do have I think they probably aerosol the machine before it leaves just to coat it with um, just some kind of protectant for shipping. So that could get on the mirrors, but maybe not intentionally, but if they fog it or something or however they do it, it could get on there. Might need to be cleaned off.
I will say a quick tip for those of you that have pitting and also corroded mirrors.
Yeah.
Mother's aluminum polish or Brasso or some type of metal polish. It will turn it from corroded to a mirror finish instantaneously.
Yeah. Just be careful on the mirrors, especially be careful because it is exactly what it says it is. It's a mirror, so it's got a coating on the back, and that coating is not necessarily as durable as the coating on the face of it. So just be careful with that. You don't wear that out, because if you wear that out, then obviously the mirror is not going to do its job. But just something to be cautious of, I guess. Anybody got any other questions? John's talking it up in chat, which is great. But has anybody else got anything? You said laser, rotary, anything related?
ISA, like our title was.
Yeah, again, ISA.
We veered off that the first 15, 20 minutes, and then we veered off quite a bit.
But okay, since we're talking about that again, here we go. We got ISA already set up for next year in Vegas. It's April 23rd to 25th, and if you're out that way, it'd be a great opportunity for you to check it out. But I'll leave that up there for a minute so people can see it. Again, great show. Obviously, that's what kind of this podcast is about, just going over that. But at any rate, let's see here. Newbie here, so I'll be back with questions eventually. All right.
Absolutely.
Not a problem.
Bring them.
Yeah, if not this episode, we only got about 10 minutes left of this episode, but any episode, feel free to jump in there and ask away. Any new technology you saw at the ISA show you haven't seen before?
I saw some pretty cool. It was almost like hologram printing.
Yep.
That was
I've actually
really neat.
I've got one of those.
Yeah, I mean, it was really cool. They had a couple of signs that would shift as you walk by.
Yeah, Mamaki's got that nailed down on that one. They were doing a lot of that stuff there.
But nothing like there's nothing crazy.
Yeah. And this is a big problem with some of the companies, is like just having, like me, for instance, for Rotoboss, I'm the single point of failure when it comes to support, because like if something happened to me, I mean, that's pretty much it. And I'm working on getting some people up to speed on that. But I mean, Thunder obviously being their OEM rotary supplier, they do a great deal of help and support with that as well. That's never my intention, but like I said, the horse's mouth thing, but they have a great knowledge base on the rotaries and stuff too, because we've been dealing with them for going on 5 years almost, 4.5 years. But you know, having a single point of failure is not the best way to do things.
No,
And
I
like
mean,
I
you
said, I'm
and
personally working on that for Rotoboss, but
just for a
um,
business standpoint for you, I mean, you need to have backup, man.
yeah, and I'm working on that. It's just I have a hard time letting go of certain aspects of the business, and the support is like my baby. That's what I, other than designing and building, support is like my main thing. Like I love doing it. I love helping people. I love talking to people. Um, and that's really hard for
Wait,
me to let go
you
of.
you like to talk?
No,
I
only when
would have never guessed.
only when I'm pressured. Um, but I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
that's the thing. Like when it comes to
that's the hardest
lasers,
thing though.
when it
In
comes to
business,
lasers and rotaries, is like I can't shut up about it. I mean, I'm very passionate about it, and I hope that comes off in the way I talk about it. But it's something that I thoroughly enjoy, and I would hate to give that up.
so that was the most difficult for my landscape company for me to do. It was to let go of the reins. Um, and I think it was eight years ago that I did that so that I could start the laser engraving business. It was getting too busy, and I'll tell you what, it was the best thing I ever did, man. Being able to have like, I don't touch that business anymore, man. So if you could do that, not to the
I mean,
point where you're
that's
not touching it, but I mean, the stress of having other people run those things, like it was a one-man show for the most part. I
yeah,
wasn't doing the labor, but I mean, I was managing every single thing.
yeah. And that's the
So,
same thing. Like I do all the ordering, payroll, account. I mean, I do everything except for really build machines anymore, which kind of sucks because I like doing it. But um, I'm slowly getting. I got a shop manager, and I'm kind of prepping her to basically take my spot
right.
in that regard. Um,
Is that's what's her name that you
that's
brought
the
with you
one.
too?
Yeah, the one you met at ISA. But
Yeah,
I'm
she's good
prepping.
people too, and
Oh
she
yeah,
seems like she's a hard worker. So
yeah. I wish I had 5 more of her. I mean,
no,
I got great workers. I got 6 employees, and it, I have great workers. They they do what needs to be done. They're the ones that push out, nearly 100 rotaries a month, if not more, sometimes. And I'm grateful to have them. And any business should be grateful to have employees and that do that kind of thing. But she's actually stepped up a lot, and she wants to take those roles, um, which is awesome because I want
yeah,
to sit at
it's
home
hard to
and
find.
drink whiskey like you do every day. Um, but but yeah,
Not all
that
of
was a
us are
little
that lucky.
that was a little bit of a rant. But let's see.
So
Yeah, the
I
Australia
agree.
videos. Yep.
We're
Uh,
at time, but let's extend it a little bit more.
yep.
I agree with Mike. If you have the chance, Jason, when you're in Ireland, rent a car and just drive around.
I've been
But
all over
not
Ireland. I've
yeah.
been
I
there
mean,
before. I've been to England. Been to Ireland. Um, no, it's great. Like there's Northern Ireland, yeah, but they got some cool things like Giant's Causeway and things up there. But yeah, doing like the ring road, so to speak, around the whole island.
yeah,
I
we didn't
haven't
do
done
that.
that.
So
I've
we
just
made the
basically been
mistake.
on the north southeast side of Ireland. I
Yeah,
really haven't ventured to the west.
yeah. I mean, if you haven't been to Dublin, that's a good day and a half, 2 days. But drive through the interior, stop at some pubs, stop at some breakfast places,
Yeah,
castles.
we'll be doing that
It was
this time
amazing.
around. I'll be there for about a week. Claudia, off topic, which accounting software do you use? Like me personally, I don't know what Chris uses for his, but now I have an accountant that handles all of it. The software I used was QuickBooks. It's very good software. It's probably the best that I've used. Very flexible
Well,
and adjustable to what you
any
need.
any any accountant is probably going to want you to be running QuickBooks. So for our accounting side of it, my businesses, I use QuickBooks, and my bookkeeper puts everything in there. But for like regular stuff, I use either Shopify for the laser business, and then also PayPal. Like if you're just starting out, keep it simple,
Yep.
or you go full bore and build your, attach it to your banks, attach it to your inventory, build it all out, because it could do absolutely everything.
Yeah, I use QuickBooks for myself more for invoicing now, but also as like a checks and balances for my accountant because everything's linked to my bank accounts and my PayPal and all that stuff. So everything that goes in and out of the business goes through there too.
All right.
The account, like if I go buy something, I don't worry about it. They're gonna do what they need to do with it. I don't have to
Yep.
worry about it. If they have any questions, I can answer it. Um, but I mean, an accountant, like you have to have a pretty decent business to warrant paying an accountant the kind of
Hmm.
money you got to pay them to keep track of your stuff.
Unless you can
If you're just,
barter.
yeah, if you're a one man show or one woman show, QuickBooks is easy enough. But like for me, like I said, I have um, a graphics business, and then I also have Rotoboss. So with both of those, it got to the point where it just wasn't feasible for me to do it because I was spending half my day, probably 3 days a week, doing nothing but reconciling accounts and doing all this crap. And again, that was one of those things that was hard for me to let go of
That's mostly because
because,
he can't add very well. So
well, I can't spell either, but thank God for autocorrect. Um,
I'm there with you.
but it's just once your business gets to a certain point, you'll know when that point is when you're just like, I can't do this myself anymore, and that's kind of where I got. And that was the hardest part to get let go of because they have access to my accounts and all this stuff. And that was something that I wasn't comfortable with for the longest time. But now that I did it, oh my God, thank God I did.
Hmm.
But now getting rid of that, now I've got other other stresses and stuff with aspects of the business. So you're never completely free of it. I'm sure Chris can attest to that with his landscaping. You're never completely free of it, but relinquishing control, like I had a conversation with my shop manager about something similar to this. Um, and like you'll know, like I know at this point I need other help in different areas. Because I can't do it anymore. I'm spending half my day at least answering emails and phone calls and messages and things like that, which is fine. But I've also got payroll and ordering and keeping
Hmm.
track of what's going on in the shop and elsewhere. So it gets taxing. You'll know when it gets to that point, but uh, I guess after the long story, the short story is use what you think will benefit you the most for now. Like Chris said, keep it simple at first. Maybe get a QuickBooks, start setting it up. Because what I did is I basically got QuickBooks and I started building it as I was going along. And it led to a lot of like duplicate uh,
Yeah, it's
entry
difficult.
entry points and stuff. And then like I have like 5 different things for sales, like sales, online sales, PayPal sales, this, and it just got to the point where everything was getting mixed up. And then when I go to file taxes at the end of the year,
Like, what is
uh,
this for?
my account was like, "What the hell
What
is all this? Like, why do you have so many sales accounts? Like, you just need one." um, so yeah, just keep it simple. Work with what you know. Um, if you
and
want to get
and
or
and
something,
ask.
build it first. Yeah, ask questions.
Well,
Uh,
ask around. I mean, if you have a friend that is an accountant, a CPA of some sort, like that's one of my landscape customers, and a
yep.
good friend of ours that she just does my books. And the beginning part is hard. The weekly or monthly maintenance to go in there, most of it ends up being automatic, but
Yep.
maybe you can exchange laser engraving for a service like that, which is well worth it. You know, you make a couple of cups and, you know, engrave on something else for them, and they're more than happy to go click and organize your shit for a day.
Oh yeah, like
or an hour.
My landscaper, like we work on a barter system. I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, this day and age, it sounds stupid, but people still like if someone says, "Hey, I'll give you this, and you give me this, and we're even." I'm like,
Yep.
done. You know, it's a very good system to have if you have, and you got to network and kind of build that stuff and figure it out. But I have probably 3 or 4 accounts, customers that are actually, so I guess you can call them employees at some degree, doing stuff for me, and I do stuff for them, and it's just a wash. It makes it easier. You don't have to the taxes. I mean, I'm not telling you to avoid taxes. That's not what I'm trying to say here. But just trading services is a very good way to go if you have the opportunity to do so. Because, like Chris said, I mean, an hour of their time, and you gave them $200 worth of stuff, which only costs you like $50.
Right.
but I mean, it you know, it's got to make sense first off, I guess.
Yeah.
And you know, it just
It's
beats.
worth it.
It's definitely worth it. Let's see. There's a lot of laser business owners in Alicia's Laser Lounge. They're more than willing to help or share accurate information. Yeah. Laser Lounge. There's attorneys in there. There's lawyers in there. There's graphic designers. There's, I mean, everything you could possibly need or want for a business is in there. For in one way or another, for whatever reason or another, there's tons of people in there. You know, I wouldn't go blowing up a group asking for help with everything you could think of, but
maybe separated by a week or so.
Yeah, but if you pay attention to who's in the group and who they are, check their profile, whatever, you could see what people do, and you know, it's a good. Like I'm part of the Chamber of Commerce here in Florida, and like all I got to do is send an email to my chamber rep, and within like an hour, I'll have like 10 names of somebody that can do what I need to get done. So having that network and that support is phenomenal. Here's one for John. We hired an accountant to help us set up QuickBooks in the beginning, but now it runs fairly smooth. I did that too, and she was supposedly one of the best people in the area to run QuickBooks, and she did a pretty good job, but it like my QuickBooks was so screwed up because of me over the course of probably 3 or 4 years that I did it before I got someone involved. And one, it became too expensive for her to fix, so it was just easier for me to pay an accountant to monitor and track all that stuff. And two, it just gets it out of my hair. But am you trying to give people seizure?
Oh, me? Oh, sorry. I'm answering tickets.
What are you shaking? What are you shaking for over there?
Sorry, I was answering tickets. Sorry.
But yeah, I mean there's plenty of people, even like myself or Chris or whatever. I'm more than happy to give advice or help out where I can. Obviously, I'm not going to be piggy bank, you know, and just spend all my time giving away information. But we'll definitely help if you're in a pinch or you have a quick question or something like that. You know, we're always here to help. But yeah.
Well,
so we're past our hour. We still got a decent audience. So
no more questions.
Anybody else got any more questions before we start to wrap this up? I know it's about the ISA, but we just kind of went down a rabbit hole. And there's plenty of other stuff. Like I think they got like the next level conference or something coming up in June or July. There's LaserCon. There's all kinds of stuff out there that you can get involved with. My recommendation on that would be to go someplace neutral. Like next level, I don't think that's really a neutral place. Like LBX, that was probably, aside from like ISA or something like that, that was probably the most neutral kind
That
of
was
setting
good.
that you could have, because you have people from all different walks of laser life there, with all the different experiences with diodes, fibers, galvos, UVs, CO2s, all that stuff, all in one space. Nobody was there pushing product. People were just there to help train and teach people. And that can't be
It'll
said
be
for a lot of other places.
it'll be even more so like that for the next one too. I think
Oh, I can't wait for that.
they learned a lot of things for that first one, which I mean it was a
I mean,
learning experience.
for a first event and getting nearly 600 people.
Yeah.
I mean
Well, I mean,
that's
look at their outreach. I mean, and
well,
look at their foothold on the laser industry. I mean, it's the most popular software known to man right now for lasers. So
yeah. As far as LBX, I don't know that there's a set date. I know they're looking at doing it somewhere else this year. They're going to try to move it around, like East Coast, West Coast, and Central America, or Central United States, I should say. So they're going to try. They said they're going to try to bounce around a little bit. That way they can kind of reach everybody. But more so, they said for now they're going to try to stay central in the U.S. That way it's kind of equal and even for people to come from different places, instead of going clear across the country
I heard New
to go
York.
somewhere. Um, yeah, well, I don't know about that.
I mean, Dory's up there, so well, we'll see.
What's this say? With your offshore is your field. Yep. I mean, that's the thing, is like, I mean, the whole point of this podcast is, one, it's something I wanted to do for quite some time, and then in LBX, it just so happened that it was brought up by somebody. Oh, you guys should start a podcast together. It all started with arm wrestling at the hotel.
Jenna
But
Musgrave.
yeah, so I mean, and again, it's a passion of ours. I've known Chris for what,
8.
9 years, something like
Yeah.
that. We don't always see eye to eye. We have differing opinions.
Is it because I'm short? Is that a short joke?
Probably, usually everything goes over your head. So,
Everything.
but you know, we don't always agree. We have different ways of doing things, which I think is what kind of makes us get along so well. And in that regard, because I mean, I learned stuff from him. He probably learned stuff from me. Maybe, maybe not. He'll disagree on that, I'm sure. But I've learned stuff from him. Regardless, I'll admit that. And having different views on how to do things really helps. So getting as much information as you can from anybody you can, and try not to stay within a bubble. Like a lot of people like to stay in their little bubble, and they don't go outside that bubble. And this
There's a few.
podcast is a way to hopefully open up doors for not just Thunder users, but Eon, Boss, everybody, to kind of get involved and learn a little something, and feel comfortable. Because even though, obviously I run Rotoboss, you'll very rarely see on this podcast me doing like full blown advertisement for my stuff. That's not what this is about. A lot of people have said, "Oh, you're just doing it so you can get attention and whatever," and it's not that at all.
He literally just likes to hear himself talk. I mean,
I do.
that's what it
I mean,
comes down to.
I can't hear myself talk through the headset. It's just, I,
But
that
it's
would be nice.
recorded, and you watch it on YouTube later.
But I'm sorry, Chris. What, that he has to deal with me?
Because I'm so short.
Oh yeah, that definitely sucks.
I did. Did you not see it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, you posted on it, didn't you?
I did.
I don't. Yeah.
It is. It's pretty damn shiny. It's hard to tell, but it is.
That's a badass rotary you got there.
Oh, you like that?
That's polished too. But yeah, so I mean, this podcast was more out of passion and just wanting to hang out and talk shop, because being cramped up in an office all day and no one to no one to talk kind of the same, or being able to talk about lasers and stuff, and people understand what you're talking about, and two, to bring people together. So you'll very rarely ever see any advertisement for anything, whether it's Thunder, Rotoboss, or any of that stuff, because again, that's not what this is about.
Yeah. The biggest
So
advertising that you may see is us bringing on the leaders of the industry. So we'll try to get
yep,
Lightburn on here. I would love to get Lone Star
yep.
on.
I've reached out. I've reached out to. I mentioned it to Josh. I've talked to Joey. I know Joey wants to come on.
Yep, Joey definitely. Yeah, he said for sure.
And I got a couple other people in mind. We're gonna start doing kind of, I wouldn't say tutorial podcasts, but we're gonna start like kind of sprinkling in some Lightburn tips, tricks, how tos, things like that. So we're kind of just ramping up. Obviously, this is only our 6th episode. We're just trying to get things going, and get the
She
word
was
out
on,
there.
but she can come on again though. I was
Oh,
out of town
Katie.
for that one, so yeah.
Yeah, Katie was episode 1, no, 2.
No,
Um,
3. I was gone, I think.
Yeah, she's phenomenal. If you want to watch that video, she does talk about like raps and things like that. She's really good at that. And just
From a
overall,
white girl, she can rap.
yeah.
Sure.
She's just all around a great person, I think, and she's got a lot of good information. She hasn't been doing this that long either. But she's the type of person is like when she wants to do something, she'll do it until she masters it.
Yeah,
And she's not afraid to share information. She has courses that she teaches stuff, or she's going to start doing that stuff. I do it if people ask. Robert Kofed does it. I think, who else?
No, she was asking what episode Katie's in. I believe it's 3 or 4.
No, it's one of the early ones. It's probably 2 or 3, I would say. Actually, I could probably tell you if I just looked at my YouTube. But let me see. She was episode 3 is what she was on. And then we had Robert on episode 4 or 5, sorry. And we had Chance Custom Grains, the hat god, on episode 4. So yeah, you can look on that Rotoboss Roto Attachments, or you can go to I'll have to link up there again. The Turn and Burn Facebook page is right here. You can go on there. All the videos are on there as well. And if anybody like anything else, if anybody's got questions, comments, things they want to see here or us to cover for this, because I mean, again, it is for you guys. We can sit here and talk laser and stuff all day long, but we want to help people. So if you have any suggestions, please reach out to us through Facebook or otherwise, and put a bug in our ear, and we'll make sure that happens. I know Lightburn's a big one. So, and I've talked to Joey before, even before ISA this year, about getting him on. And
if we can make the timing work, I might be able to get Adam on.
Yeah, Adam. Well, he's in Switzerland, so that's the time difference. I don't know what it is over there. It's probably
6 hours.
So, 6 hours.
Yeah, so
it had to be during the day
or a late night. He's a programmer. It could be a late night for him. He probably wouldn't even mind.
Yeah, Adam. I mean, all the guys and girls at Lightburn are phenomenal at what they do. Adam is probably one of the top 5 people in that organization, and just a ridiculous. He's number 2. I thought Joey was number 2.
I believe he is now the lead developer, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Yeah. So if you're watching this, Adam, sorry. But I mean, he's just a ridiculous wealth of knowledge when it comes to that stuff. Him and Joey both. I mean, you could just ask them the craziest off the wall question, and probably 99% of the time they're going to have an answer right off the top of your head. The answer will probably go over your head because they're very technical guys. So you may have to ask them to dumb it down a little bit, but
They keep it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're used to dealing with John Q. So, I mean, they usually relay it in a way that we understand, which is nice. It's refreshing.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like kind of like me. They're very brash and straightforward. And it's not because we're rude or trying to be dicks or anything. It's just the way we are. And even Chris does the same thing. I mean, he's gotten better over the years, but
What I do.
but anyways, yeah. So let us know what you want to see. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. I do want to say again, obviously this is about ISA. If you're interested in ISA, it is April. Let me throw this back up here real quick. April. I can't read that small screen. 23rd to 25th in Las Vegas. It's usually at the Mandalay.
Hotel, right?
It's usually at the Mandalay Bay. At least that's what I was told. And you can stay in the hotel there and everything. And once they release it, you can actually go through there and get hotel and travel discounts and stuff like that too. So that's really good. So if you're looking to go, start looking at it, keeping an eye on that. I mean, tickets and stuff are already available. Sign up, show info, hotels, all that stuff showing up on there. So yeah, check it out.
Get there early. You know, come behind the scenes, reach out to whoever you have for laser. I mean, I know that we can get some tickets, and then, you know, if I've got a wristband, I could probably get you in the back, you know, to show you around and see it before and after, which is nuts.
The day of setup is pretty easy to get in. Obviously, you gotta know somebody or know someone that's there.
You gotta know the booth number
to get in. Booth, yeah. So it's just, if you're interested in doing it, obviously everybody don't go flooding Thunder, Eon, or Boss or any of them guys for tickets and stuff like that or access. But if you have the opportunity, take advantage of it if you can.
I'm here with Canon.
Experience. Yeah.
Canon USA. That's
what booth are they in? 1, 2, 3, 4. No.
Over there. You tell me.
Yeah. So yeah, check it out if you can. If not, you know, sorry. Find some other comparable things nearer to you, I guess. Because there's plenty of stuff going on. It's getting a lot more popular too. So, I don't foresee any of that stuff going away. It'll probably get a lot bigger, especially with all the tech that's coming out with all the different types of equipment, lasers, printers, all that stuff. So, you could do a giveaway on here with free flight.
Yeah.
That'd be baggage class. But yeah, it's a good time. And it's just the people you get to meet too. So
yeah, it's fun.
Like-minded people. It's great. But anyways, we can ramble all day or all night. We're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Chris, you got any final thoughts for anything?
No, I appreciate everybody joining, asking questions. Make sure you join next time and bring more questions, because we got answers, hopefully.
Yep. And if you see our posts out for the podcast, please feel free to share. Like I said, we want to kind of build this up. I mean, we're not going to be like Laser Everything, where they're pretty big on stuff. We don't go into those kind of weeds, and that's kind of why this is formed too, is because there's not really anything out there like this where you can just kind of talk and answer questions and go over stuff without being too in the weeds with everything. So yeah. So my final is basically like, subscribe, share this when you see them come up. Join us, have questions, bring questions, and bring kind of recommendations or something to us for future episodes, and we'll make sure that we try to accommodate that and do the best we can with it. So I appreciate everybody coming out and watching this. And if you're watching this recorded, thanks for hanging around, checking it out, and stay tuned for more of them. And that's pretty much it.
See you next time.
Yeah, we'll see you in a week or two.
Good night, Jason.
All right, everybody. Have a good night.